In this video, we are going to discuss about 2 marks important questions in fundamental operating systems. The first question is, what is multi-user, multitasking and multiprocessing? So multi-user means uh, when multiple users that are on different computers are allowed to access a single system's OS resources simultaneously, then we call it as multi-user. OS resources means a printer can be used by multiple users. They can give their request for a print and they will get on a single printer. So multiple users can access one single printer at a time. So like that they can be any type of resources that multiple users can use simultaneously. And what is meant by multitasking? So multitasking means if when the computer is capable of operating multiple applications at the same time. So applications means nothing but they can be applications like Word document. You can be using a web browser, an email. So you can browse through the websites at the same time you can listen to some music. So multiple tasks here, word processing is one type of task, web browsing is one type of task, sending email is another type of task. So are- if the computer is allowing you to do multiple uh, tasks at the same time, then we call it as multitasking. So here if you can see, Word, web browser and email are there. These each one is called as a different process. They are connected to the operating system, which allows to use the CPU so that all the applications uh, work can work at the same time. And what is meant by multiprocessing? So multiprocessing means a computer itself, it can have two or more central processing units, and these particular processors can be used to perform the system operations. Then it is called as multiprocessing. Here if you can see, here you have input output devices, and we have here CPU 1 is one processor and CPU 2 is another processor. So and we can access both the processors. Using both the processors we can uh, do multiple tasks at the same time, so there will be a faster. Next question is, what is real mode, protected mode, virtual real mode and compatible mode? So real mode is nothing but uh, it means that a CPU can execute only one program at a time if it is in real mode, and it can only address 1 MB of system memory at a time. So here one more thing to remember is, in real mode whenever an application uh, gives an error, then the entire computer can be affected, uh, in the sense the computer may stop responding, or it may restart, or it may shut down. Because why this is occurring is because the program has direct access to the memory. Due to this reason, uh, there will be a sudden change in the state of the computer. Coming to protected mode, uh, so a CPU that is operating in protected mode, it has access to the memory as well as the virtual memory. So what is meant by virtual memory? Virtual memory is nothing but the hard disk space that is used to emulate RAM. And operating systems that use this particular protected memory, they can manage multiple programs at the same time. And the other mode is virtual real mode. Virtual real mode means it allows a real mode application to run within a protected mode operating system. A simple example for this is, see, if you are having a 32-bit operating system like Windows XP, in that Windows XP, you are able to use the DOS application. That is, you go to the start, type command, command prompt, then your DOS application will open, and that you can give all the commands. So that is DOS application. So virtual real mode is nothing but a real mode application is allowed to run within a protected mode operating system. And the other type of mode is compatibility mode. So compatibility mode means it creates an environment of the earlier operating system for the applications that are not compatible with the current operating system. So by doing so, what happens is the applications uh, can be run easily. And the next question is, give any 5 DOS commands and tell its purpose. So here are the list of DOS commands like help. Help means it provides a command line help, and dir means whenever we type dir, it will display all the directories that are available in that particular uh, computer. And next, attribute. So attrib. So it changes the attribute of a file. Attribute of a file means here read only, archive system, or hidden files. That is nothing but the change of attributes of a file. Edit means it is simply to open a file for editing. That is, you can type like that. Copy means it copies a file. Xcopy means it copies files and directories. Format, if you say format, if you give the command format, it formats the complete disk. CD means change to a specific directory. RD means to remove directories. So these are some of the DOS commands that can be used in our system. And the next question is, explain application software and system software with example. What is meant by application software? Application software is nothing but it is a computer program that will perform a specific task or function. It can be a personal task or an educational task or a business oriented task. And each application is designed to assist the end users to accomplish their goals. And some of the examples of application software are in Microsoft Suite, we have Microsoft Office, Microsoft Excel, MS Word, PowerPoint, Outlook. And some of the internet browsing application software are Firefox, Chrome, Safari, Internet, and Internet Explorer. And the music software are Pandora, Apple Music, and Spotify. Coming to the communication software, you have Skype, Zoom, Teams. So these are some of the examples of application software. System software. System software is nothing but it is a type of computer program that is designed to run the computer's hardware and the application programs. In order to make the computer hardware run, these system software are being used. And the system, there's different types of system software like operating system, device drivers, firmware, language translator, and utility. So examples of operating system are like Windows, Android, Mac OS, iOS, and Linux. And some of the examples of device drivers are BIOS drivers, display drivers, sound card drivers, USB drivers, and printer drivers. The same way you have all the other uh, different examples of all these types of system software. So if you remember, this is the hardware of the system, and here you have the end user, and in between is your system software. See, the user interacts with the computer via the application software, and the system software is the one that will be interacting with the hardware as well as the application software to make the smooth running of the computer system. Next question, what are the basic differences between Linux and Windows? So Linux was initially started in the year 1991 and Windows before itself 1985, and it is open source operating system. Linux is an open source operating system. Open source in the sense it is freely available. It is freely available. While coming to Windows, it is closed source operating system. That is, if you want Windows, you have to purchase it. And the web server share is 70% share is there. While coming to Windows, it is 23% share. And the different types of file systems that are used by Linux are FAT, NTFS, NFS, ISO, JFS, so on. While coming to Windows, NTFS and FAT most prominently used, and also ISO 9690, UDF and HFS. Coming to the cost, Linux requires a low cost hardware, while coming to Windows, it requires a high cost hardware. And security wise, Linux provides security, it is very secure, and in Windows, it is very insecure. And coming to the viruses, 60 to 100 virus lists are there, while in Windows there are 60,000 viruses listed. And this Linux was developed by Linus, and Windows was developed by Microsoft. Source code, coming to the source code, this is there is full access to the source code, while Windows there is no access to the source code. And where is the configuration stored? It maintains configuration in files and maintains a registry to store the configurations. These are the main differences of Linux and Windows. The next question is, give the differences between graphic user interface and command line interface. So what is meant by command line interface? So basically, by the definition, command line interface means interaction is done by typing commands. We interact with the computer by typing commands. Like we have seen the DOS commands, right? Like cd, dir, attrib, all these are some of the DOS commands. So by typing those commands, you are interacting with the computer. While coming to the graphic user interface, GUI, interaction with device is by graphics. The main thing you have to remember is by graphics and visual components and icons. Very important. Even menus. Menus is also there. Menus. So it is a basically graphics, visual components and icons and menus are involved. And coming to the command line interface, commands need to be memorized. You need to memorize all the commands. While coming to the graphical user interface, it is very easy because visual indicators and icons are there. They make the understanding very easy. And memory wise, less memory is required for storage in the command line interface. While coming to the graphical user interface, more memory is required as visual components are involved. Visual components means those components will require more space because there are some type of images and all which require more space. Coming to the working speed, use a keyboard for commands. You need to definitely use the keyboard to type the commands. While coming to the graphical interface, use of mouse for interaction makes it slower. So using keyboards, it is quicker, and using mouse interaction, it is slow. Resources used is only the keyboard. You are using the resources in CLI. While coming to GUI, you use mouse and keyboard both for using the resources. Accuracy is very high in CLI. When compared with GUI, GUI is a little low. And next, coming to the flexibility, command line interface does not change, remains same over time. While coming to the GUI, structure and design can change with updates. So as you keep on updating your OS, the structure and design will also change. The next question is, give some of the popular operating systems. So an operating system, by the definition, is a software program that acts as an interface between the hardware, the application software, and the user. So the most popular operating systems are Apple, Apple Mac OS, Microsoft Windows, Google's Android OS, Linux operating system, and Apple iOS. These are some of the popular operating systems. Next question, what is hardware compatibility list or called as HCL? So hardware compatibility list is a list of computer hardware that are compatible with a particular operating system. That is, suppose if you want to install a particular operating system like a Windows XP, you need to pick up the hardware. Those are compatible with Windows XP. Then only you will be able to load Windows XP operating system into your computer. If not, that will not get loaded. So compatibility list will be required. List of computer hardware that is compatible with a particular operating system or device management software, that is called as hardware compatibility list. So what does the list contain? The list contains both whole computer system and specific hardware elements, which include, see, the main things are motherboard, sound cards, and video cards. So these are the specific hardware elements that have to be purchased appropriate to the operating system which you need. And some of the key points are, most operating systems will have a HCL, and HCL can be, where can you find HCL, that is hardware compatibility list? You can find it on the manufacturer's website. And HCL will include, this website will give the list of hardware that are known to work with the operating system. So if you look at the into the internet and check for Windows XP hardware compatibility list, so this is how you will get. Here you get the product name, the company name, and compatibility. Right? This is a Windows XP hardware compatibility list. The next question is, what is disk cloning? So disk cloning means creating an image of a hard drive in a computer. Next question, what are the different startup modes for booting Windows? So whenever you want to boot Windows, there are several methods or several ways in which you can boot Windows. And one of the simplest way is press F8 during the booting process. It will open the Windows Advanced Startup menu. It will open the Windows Advanced Startup option menu, and this will allow you to select how you want to boot the Windows. And some of the startup commonly used startup options are: one is safe mode. Okay, it will help you to start Windows, but only loads the drivers for basic components like a keyboard and display. That is meant by safe mode. The another startup option is safe mode with network support. So here what happens is it starts Windows identical to safe mode and also loads the drivers for network components. So additionally, network component drivers are also loaded along with the uh, drivers of the keyboard and the display. Coming to the safe mode with the command prompt, it starts Windows and loads the command prompt instead of the GUI. Last known good configuration. This is also another option. Over here what happens is it enables a user to load the configuration settings of a window that were used the last time. Previously, what was the previous configuration that was used, that will be successfully loaded. And how this is done? It is done by accessing a copy of the registry that is created for this particular process. The next question is common administrative tools for Windows XP. So first of all, how can you open the common Windows administrative tool? You can click on command prompt and uh, click on control admin tools. Okay, and the administrative tools include event viewer, Windows memory diagnostics, computer management, and task scheduler. So what each and every tool does is each and every tool has a different operation to perform so as to provide the proper functioning of your system. And some of the tasks that this system includes are event monitoring, memory error checking, managing the hardware devices, users, and services, and also it will be scheduling the tasks. So the common administrative tools are viewer, window memory diagnostics, computer management, task scheduler are the main things. Still some more are there. So you can go and click on this particular tool and you can enable some of its properties and you can also disable them. The next question is explain Windows XP boot process. So here there are totally 9 steps for Windows XP boot process. The first step is power on self test is run, and what the post for the post for each adapter card that has a BIOS is also run, and then the BIOS will read the MBR, that is the master boot record, and MBR will take control over the boot process and it will start the NT loader, or also called as NT-LDR. The NT loader will be reading the boot.ini file to know which OS to load and where to find the OS on the boot partition. And the NTLDR, it will be using the ntdetect.com to detect any installed hardware. And it will also load the nto.skrnn.exe file and hal.dll file. It will read all the registry files and load the device drivers. and then the ntoskrln.exe file, it will start the winlogon.exe program, and it will display the window login screen. So this is the boot sequence of Windows XP. The next question is, what are batch files? So batch files are nothing but they are script files, and they will be storing commands to execute in a serial order. It is very helpful because it will automate routine tasks without requiring the permission of the user intervention. So some of the common applications of batch files are loading programs, running multiple processes, or performing repetitive action in a sequence in the system. So these are some of the 2 marks questions from Windows operating system.